Now this camera has been out for quite some time now. However, I still maintain that the X-T4 is one of the better mirrorless cameras in 2025 and beyond. Now even after using the Fujifilm X-H2S, the X-H2, the XM5, the XS20, even after using all those newer bodies, I still feel the same about the X-T4, even with some of its quirks or some of its flaws in video. And for me personally, there are two major flaws on the X-T4 for video that Fujifilm fixed in their newer bodies. And we're going to touch on that a little bit later in this video. And it's got nothing to do with autofocus. I think the autofocus of the X-T4 is up there with the newer bodies. It might be minor for some of you, but to me, as a hybrid shooter, it's kind of major. The X-T4 was released way before its time. For this price range in 2020, I don't think there was another mirrorless camera body that had 4K 60. Never mind the small crop the X-T4 has. In 2020 or 2019, when this camera was released and at the price point it was released, it shipped with the ability to shoot up to 4K 60 with a minor crop. Now this is a pro level hybrid body. Now why I say pro level? It has dual card slots and it has a 1/8000 mechanical shutter. Now that already sets this camera apart from even its full frame competitors or the entry level full frame competitors, where they never shipped with dual card slots. They shipped with smaller batteries and they shipped with 1/4000 mechanical shutter, and some of them even had no mechanical shutter and only EFCS. And to top it off, the X-T4 comes with a histogram as well as zebras, and most importantly, I'm telling you, rock solid IBIS. Even whether I'm using FD glass or my non-stabilized Fuji lenses, on the X-T4 it is rock solid. Now in terms of build quality, I've got a Fujifilm X-H1, and I think the difference in the manufacturing is the X-T4 I think was one of the first Fujifilm cameras that was manufactured in China. I know the X-H1 was manufactured in Japan. Having said that, I think the build quality, after having used this for 2.5 years and not very sparingly, I think the X-T4's build quality, especially in black. Now I've had the silver X-T4 prior to the black one, and that one didn't hold up too well. I felt that just looking at that the silver X-T4 scratched it up, pulling it out of my bag, or pulling it, just moving it past your body, I would feel that there would be scuff marks on it. And if you're into that look, then fine, but if not, I would refrain from going for the older silver units on the Fujifilm bodies. For me, the black wears off very nicely, and I think that the durability of the black is just a step up from the silver that they use. Now in terms of video specs on the X-T4, this thing shipped in 2020 and today it's 2025, and the video specs on the X-T4 is still relevant up till today and beyond. The X-T4 shoots in up to 4K 60 with a minor crop. It shoots in f-log for higher dynamic range, as well as Eterna if you're looking for a picture profile straight out of camera with more dynamic range. I use Eterna. It shoots in H.265, it shoots in H.264, and most importantly, it has the all-eye codec. And for me, the all-eye codec is very important. Reason being, it just edits much easier in my software program. Now, with the all-eye codec, we know that it captures each and every frame, and whereas in with the other codecs, it skips a frame, and it I don't know what it does, some magic that it does, and it combines the frames. But the all-eye codec for me, similar to a ProRes codec, not as good as a ProRes codec, a ProRes codec. The all-eye codec is the closest that I have with the X-T4. Now, I've used the X-T4 over the last 2.5 years on various projects, from mini documentaries to weddings to 60th birthday parties. And for video, I haven't had any glitches in the 2.5 years that I've used the X-T4, even when shooting redundant with the two memory card slots. However, in photo, I'm gonna say that I've had a couple of glitches when using third-party flashes for photo work. It would freeze up sometimes. I'd have to remove my battery. But as for video, other than the two major flaws, for me, major flaws that I'm going to mention to you now, I think this camera performed flawlessly in video in the 2.5 years that I've had it, and I'm hoping it will continue into the future. Now, you wouldn't believe it, but the two flaws for me on the X-T4, the first one is no record button on the X-T4. Now, for me, when I just like to have the shutter release, photo shutter release button separated from the video record button. And up until today, I haven't been able to find a way, to use a custom button. Example, the one on the top there, the right, next to the shutter release. I would have loved to use this as a shutter release for video, because when you're flipping from photo to video, you still got to use the main shutter release, and that for me just puts more wear and tear on your one shutter release button, because you've got to use it for photo and for video. So I don't know why Fuji never gave us a dedicated video record button, or at least gave us the option to use one of these custom buttons as a button to record video. So that for me is honestly, that for me is a major gripe with the X-T4. And then number two, which is not so huge, because it's just one of those things where the Fuji X-T4 can't shoot beyond a 30-minute record limit. Therefore, I've got some bodies that can record beyond that limit, but with the X-T4, it does not shoot beyond 30 minutes. So if you're busy with, if you're setting it down and you're doing a wedding, or you've set your camera down, you've got to be aware that after 30 minutes, you've got to get back to the X-T4, otherwise it's going to stop recording. I'll set a timer on my watch or on my phone just to remind me that the Fujifilm will stop recording at X-T4. And for me, that's a smaller gripe compared to the button. For me, the button is actually a bigger issue than the 30-minute record limit. This video is basically a tribute to the Fujifilm X-T4, which still today goes highly under the radar, and some people even choose the X-T3 over the X-T4. I don't see how you can choose the X-T3 over the X-T4 unless if price is a real issue for you. For me, the IBIS alone on the X-T4 is worth it over the Fujifilm X-T3. And if you're considering going with the X-T5 or any of the newer bodies, especially the X-T5, just know that the X-T4 still accommodates the battery grip, which they have removed from the X-T5. And for that simple reason, I still think the X-T4 is a more pro body to the X-T5. This is a fantastic Fujifilm camera in 2025 and beyond. So if there's any questions or comments, drop them down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out till the next one.